On today's Minute of the Apes, come to beautiful Calima in the Forbidden Zone with arid climate, horseback riding, desert trails, riverside views, and be our guest at our famous ape casino.
Divine bomb. There is fire, there is smoke.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. That is an airplane flying overhead.
It's not a balloon?
No, it is not a balloon. No one's shooting it down.
All right.
That was Sean. And once again, I'm going to do this. Your ability with teases. Sean, dude, I love you. But I'm sorry, you do not have the crown of best teaser.
All right.
Richard,
I'm no longer a teaser pleaser.
So what was fun was in not the classic in between, but in between the moment as we're kind of going through things, Sean's trying to potentially give Richard a bunch of geeky type stuff that he gets. Was that a Loot Crate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I've canceled it, that they are still sending me backlog of stuff that I've already paid for. That during COVID everything kind of slowed down.
Oh Lord, that's like Funko with me right now. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So Sean is over there pitching things. Richard, he's already asked me if I want. I was like, nah, Shelly will kill me if I bring anything home. He's pitching these things to Richard, and all we see is Happy Boy, and he is very happy today.
Richard just smiling
and writing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Writing down notes.
And he's not paying attention to anything. He's just smiling as he writes it. I'm like, what? And he's like, I got the tease. That was outstanding. Good job. Good job.
Okay, let's set up the minute. Let's play the minute, and let's talk about the resort in the room.
Resort in the room. I like, yes. So, no shit to get through. Sean, just tell us what's going on. Minute 62.
All right, we're going to start minute 62 with our camera tilting down from the camp to a gate and ends with, "This camp is a disgrace."
All right, here it comes. Minute 62. Tim Burton, Marky Mark, and the Planet of the Apes.
Are you sure the apes are scared of water?
Yes.
We should cross the river another way, over the mountains.
There's no time. It's dark, we're going right through.
Simos smiles on me. I win again.
You win too often. What have you hidden up your sleeve? All of them. Cheetah!
Who's in charge here? I am, sir. Dare not tell me you are coming. This camp is a disgrace.
As minute 62, we have an Oberon's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods with humans and apes, wild humans, ape cities, minus those 2 poor gorillas, and humans on the loose.
All right, here comes our visual recap. We get the camera tilting down, and we see kind of an entrance. It looks like an entrance through a horse stable. Our intrepid explorers overlooking the camp, white side of the camp. They're all gathered together, except that we don't get Helena. We don't get her silverback companion.
It's all the humans, yeah.
Except for Limbo. Limbo's the only one. Then we go and we see the 2 chimps with a gorilla playing cards. And once again, we get another gag with that they use their feet
as hands.
As one of as the gorilla reveals he has a card hidden. They play cards. They fight because, as you heard, you're cheating too much. The chimp that we're looking at.
Wait, cheating too much? Is there an amount that you can cheat? That's
yes,
all right?
Of course there is.
Just making sure. All right.
Ask Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So they're one of my.
We try not to get political here on this podcast.
It was there. I couldn't say. One of my least favorite things in the world is seen visually, and that is that we get amazing chimp makeup And yet a chimp would have hair all over their body, and they can't be bothered to take the time to put hair on the neck of the actor. So we see bare white skin beneath his chin. And that every time it goes to
bad, isn't it?
Yeah, every time it goes to a shot of him, you see his skin. They fight, they tussle. We get a beautifully composed shot of Clark Duncan riding up on his horse. Then we cut to a shot that is him off of it, and the color timing is completely different. The blues in the skies are entirely different. And I mean, go from a deep blue to a yellow. He fights, he throws people around, calls somebody over, and screams at them. That is it visually. So let's talk about your encampment, your resort.
We're in the Forbidden Zone, guys. We were just told we're not supposed to go over there. And
Yet
all
they
of
have a
sudden,
shit ton of people
There's
there.
this beautiful, like, red tents. Everybody's hanging out. We're doing some...
And again, is this supposed to be the camp that they were, or the outpost that they were supposed to send a message to?
I don't...
And also, again, we talked about it then. How did you get a message here faster than the humans? So you got somebody on horseback. Is this why Michael Clark Duncan is showing up here? Is he the one bringing the message to the camp? How did he barely beat the humans there on
All good
humans on
questions.
foot and he's on a horse? Anyway, sorry.
I'm just really confused why there is a camp here, and it's supposed to be the Forbidden Zone that nobody's supposed to go to, and yet here they're all just hanging out, and they got beautiful tents along this wonderful riverside. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to have them suddenly come across this. There's nothing about this camp that looks military to me.
Is it to keep humans
Nothing
out,
about
or is it to keep apes out?
So my initial thought was so they've just crossed the line entering the Forbidden Zone with the scarecrows. When you have a river is not an easy thing to cross for a human.
And if apes are scared of water, why are they right next to it? Anyway, but
why
yeah,
not-
you would go right through it because they're
why
scared
not
of
make
it.
the Forbidden Zone just past the river? It's like there's very little reasoning to this, and you're counting something in the air. What are you counting?
Because they pan down to show horses who happen to be the exact number of traveling horses
you
they need
need.
for your camp.
But
Are you
if
serious?
I mean,
didn't count those.
there's like 8 or 9, and there's 8 of them, I think, is the number. There's almost one for one horse. Like, this is convenient. Look at the number of horses, the number of people in our party. That works well.
But if apes are scared of water and he goes, no, we're not going to go through the river, you'd want to go through the river because they're not going to get in the water with you.
Okay.
Anyway.
So my question to it all is a production design thing, and I'm not a production designer. I am simply a movie fan. Those are the dumbest tents I've ever seen in my life. A tent is meant to be something that protects you from the environment and is relatively easy to set up. This has 3 peaks in it, and none of those peaks.
It kind of has that Lawrence
sense
of
to one
Arabia,
another.
Bedouin feeling.
I have no idea why they have torches up and it's still daytime.
Maybe the sun's setting, but who knows? Maybe it's also to keep the flies away.
Maybe.
Again, Richard,
Yeah.
And
to
those are
point out,
citronella candles.
Richard, to point out we're not on Earth. You notice many planets
There's
in the
the
sky.
yeah,
there,
exactly. Yeah, I see the
I'm
Death
sorry,
Star
what?
up there.
We're not on Earth. Remember,
See
we
the
have
Death
multiple
Star up in the
planets.
sky.
in the
Yeah,
sky
yeah.
there. Yeah.
So we pan down. We've got this. It's not even a corral. There's just these horses hanging in this kind of encampment. I guess I just saw one kind of walk behind. So maybe there's more horses that we just don't see. It's just kind of convenient that it's almost 1-to-1 horse per person.
There is one down there, so it looks like there are 10 horses.
Okay,
but there's more than enough.
I think
to your point.
there's 8 traveling people. It doesn't look like a stable.
Right.
There's more apes in the tents than horses that we see. That's
a good point.
There was some line that was cut. Dana.
Which one's Dana?
There is no Dana, only Zool.
The blonde.
Okay, thank you.
Estelle Warren?
Estella Warren. She's supposed to say monsters, and Leo's supposed to go, what are you talking about? And Gunnar is supposed to say, I've heard the apes feed them human flesh. I've heard they're possessed by the spirits of the great ape generals. Leo goes, they're just horses. They'll do whatever you tell them to do.
Oh. Wait.
Then the line that he actually throws in, which isn't in the script, are you sure the apes are afraid of water? Gunnar's supposed to say we cross the river. We can cross the river another way over the mountains. What I found funny about this little moment, this interchange, outside of the fact that them being scared of horses was tossed out, is that he says, "Are you sure the apes are afraid of water?" And he asks the kid, and then he goes, "Yeah."
I mean, yeah.
I just love that the kid's like, "Yeah, I know this. This is true."
Also remember
the expert. Let's ask the 12-year-old.
Oh shit.
Also remember 5 minutes ago when you were seeing them scream at water when you were jumping in there? Yeah, I think they're afraid of water.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I won't add anything beyond that, except that, by the way, the kid has gloriously dirty hair. I at least appreciate it for a weird slave child who should look nasty. His hair looks pretty nasty. But we then get, with all this, Leo scampers away and we go to a poker game around a campfire. Why?
I don't know.
Because
they want to do their dogs playing poker.
It is. We need another moment of juxtaposing in a concept that we hold true, that they've somehow, in all the things that came here, they have invented the idea that pictures on a piece of paper is a game that you play that you can cheat at by hiding a card somewhere.
How does it? Also, that is not very hidden when he
No
pulls out
shit!
that card. Good Lord. You ought to just see it like I know this is a visual medium here, but if this was a card, you ought to see like that much of it come out, not the whole thing come out. Yeah.
Well, so we get that overhead shot, and it's all it is somebody's putting their hand here that look like a foot.
Yeah.
But they're doing it, and they throw the card into the
It
frame.
looks uniquely like a Joker.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I'm like, come on. Maybe. When Pericles turns into Seamus, maybe he had a deck of playing cards in
And
that
brought
capsule.
him with him, and they just kind of adapted that as a game.
But there's even a coin up on something in the middle, so they're putting bets on this. But we get them going back and forth, and then we get that horrific makeup mistake that I mentioned, where that one chimp, and his face makeup's great. It looks very chimp-like. I think that it
But every time he tips up and you see his neck, it just looks like
Maybe-
it looks like somebody wearing a mask.
like
Maybe
my
he
Uncle
just
Rick.
shaves his neck.
Whatever. Grooming wasn't that big of an issue back then. So we get them leaping at each other. They fight. I like the fight. I think it's great. But I want to introduce again that so we've had moments with this scene we've not seen, and I'm making sure I'm correct. Until then, we've not seen the blue sky here. Now, if you go back to the blue sky when Leo and them were talking, it has a more of a yellow tone to its blue. I bring that up because as we fight, and I think that fight, again, is really well done, tight on them, you see more of a swinging kind of chimpanzee look than you do a human punching look. But when Atar rides up,
Yeah, totally. The sky changes back to a yellow,
And
but
it's-
lighting is completely different.
it's like now the sand behind him actually has a bit of a blue hue to it. It takes it and changes it. The blue in the sky becomes immensely different than when we go forward. He rides into camp. He rides right behind the two fighting monkeys and jumps off, and it's a yellow sky. What the fuck? Who didn't see that?
I don't know. So let me ask you this: are we, besides the real issues with the color of each particular moment, right, completely off? What are we supposed to get out of this scene? That
It's
the
a
apes
sloppy
are
camp.
the apes are barbaric.
They're
That
a little
untrustworthy,
they're a
that
little
they're-
settled in their ways and not paying attention to what's going on.
But the only device they could think to use is cheating at a card game to get them punching. I love the shot of them punching each other and Atar riding up. I think
it's a
I think
beautiful
that's great,
shot.
and I love that he gets off the horse and pulls them apart. I think that's fantastic.
And maybe you should
I
have
just don't
seen-
like how we got there.
You should have
I
maybe
agree.
I would have
seen
liked some other
Or
type
why
of,
we got there.
well, I would have liked some other type of aggression that caused this moment that we are now need to be afraid for our escapees.
Right.
Something. These people are terrible, treacherous people. They don't just get angry over a poker game. There should have been something else that kind of forced this to make this like this is not a safe place to be than a poker game.
Maybe you see some drunken apes. Maybe you see them whipping a human over in a corner or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
But, okay, so
You see one human slave in the thing, and they do something wrong, and two apes start getting into it because of whatever just happened. That'd be interesting.
If I may, just before you go to that point, because I want to, and I'm not saying no one else can say anything, but to put this idea of the color timing issue to bed, I like the color timing of Atar's ride-up scene the best. I think it's beautiful, it's deep, it's saturated, it has a unique look. Which is why the fuck didn't they just do it across the whole thing? A color timing specialist, their job is not only to make sure each shot matches, because you shoot them at different times of the day, that happens. But the director will then say, I want this area to have this kind of feel, and they can completely change it
I mean,
I
we're,
can go
we're
out-
in Mexico, so everything has to be yellow. Hey, we're in.
Yes, and you do that in the film. You change it. I have Premiere Pro on my machine that I use for work to edit things, and I can go find things that are called LUTs. And it's a simple program a simple app, not even app, it's a set of parameter settings. You plug it in, and you just apply it to clips, and now every clip has the same one,
LUT.
and they all match. I know this is a long time ago, and that was a very different technology then. That's bullshit. That's laziness. So, perhaps my least favorite minute of this whole film, I get neck boy and I get bad color time.
Ah.
This minute drives me up an aping wall.
So
Now, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say Michael Clark Duncan does at 48 seconds in. He does exactly what all actors do in, especially superhero movies, but in military movies. He takes off his helmet as fast as he can, throws it down, so I'll never have to deal with it again. So if you watch army movies or anything like that, as soon as an actor can get a helmet off, they get it off. A superhero. Nowadays they do it digital, but as soon as they can get a mask off, they get the mask off so you can see. Now, obviously, you're not seeing the actor under this; you're seeing the ape under it. But nobody here is wearing a helmet, first of all. But as soon as he gets there, he throws his helmet on the ground, so we'll never have to see that again.
Right.
I'm kind of wondering. It was for me. This particular minute was really kind of punctuated that when they're speaking. I can't tell if the actors are struggling through their
prosthetics
because there's some things that
you
are
can
kind of
hear. Yeah,
they're working really hard to kind of get their vocals out there. But I also kind of wonder if they're adding some type of filter on top of the voices to make them a little bit deeper or
I think
or
they
more
are.
metallic, just because these actors are really talking like this. And I think Michael Clark Duncan has that capability, but I'm not sure they hired all of these extras to be able to kind of do that kind of a voice.
I think if you look, it looks like the gorillas, they gave them bigger teeth, so I think it's harder for them to talk, and the chimpanzees have more human appropriate teeth.
Yeah, neck gorilla.
Yeah, it
Neck-
sounds
neck-
better than the ape does.
My vote would be that's an intentional mix, because that should never be an issue, because they should ADR all that afterwards. If it ends up where it's too much, then they just simply put somebody and they loop that line. And they
Yeah, it
replace
sounds like.
No.
Know what it is? It sounds like he's got vampire teeth in.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh, Gertie. Yeah, just hold on her. Just hold her.
We're having a Gertie moment.
Yeah, she is attacking the power supply over there.
Is there much more we want to add to this particular?
No,
minute?
I don't think so. Watching the entire scene, and I'm sorry to go back to the color timing, but that one shot is the anomaly in this, because now when we get these close-ups, it's again the yellow hue to everything.
But it's a great shot. That's the hard part. It was my favorite shot of this whole particular scene.
By far, it's like you can tell they used a bit of a wide-angle lens, because you get the sides are just slightly warped, and it takes in a lot of information. It's great, but it is what it is.
We're trying to build some tension in the camp by a fight that goes bad to show how brutal they actually really are. But the rationale behind the fight really doesn't honestly make sense to scare me in terms of the humans getting through.
Right.
And we know that, Atar is there kind of taking control.
Well, I think they're also doing this because they're going to show how sloppy the camp is, because obviously Davidson had said we're going to go straight through it. So if they were on guard all the time, they would catch him instead of him being able to do whatever his escape plan.
But to that point, why isn't this an issue with them jacking around instead of monitoring the horizon for anybody coming? That should be where the messiness
They are. They're
comes
just
from.
chilling. But they are just chilling out. They're not doing anything. They're not guarding anything. We don't even have any sense of whether there is a reason for them to have this camp.
Right.
Like, is it because of human tribes? Is it because of another tribe? Like, this is just a random camp by water. They're at a resort.
Yeah.
This Michael Clark Duncan deserved better. He's probably the one. He and Tim
He got
Roth
paid. Come on.
He did, but I mean,
He didn't do this
their
for
presence
free.
in this is great.
Very much
it's
so.
wasted upon.
He read the script. Come on.
We think about it. We think about Claude Atkins, right?
Yeah.
And how commanding he was. Can you
True.
imagine if Michael Clark Duncan had been given that same type of role?
Yeah.
How awesome it would have been to see him do this. He's just basically walking around barking things out. That's all he's got
That's
to do.
a really good point, because even with the problems of that film, where we pointed out there's a little bit of logic thinking, so much more cohesive of a character.
Right.
There's a reason for him. He has things to say. He has things to do. In his world, people react to him a certain way. Michael just shows up and it's like, rah! And that's
Bow your head.
They didn't give him much. I mean, at least with Tim Roth, they're trying to give this character a lot more lines, a lot more
True,
depth, and that
true.
kind of stuff. So he's able to go through that. Same thing with Ari, but Michael Clark's character only has one note, and I would have liked to have given him more because he's very commanding in the stuff we do see him in.
Amen. Beautifully said.
right.
There comes another plane. I think that's going to take us out till tomorrow. So everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Come in.